Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your movie apprentice, and today we fly away together into the forever. I am, of course, looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And just to give a little bit of background on my history with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it was actually the first Marvel film I actually watched, knowing it was part of a expanded universe. And the whole reason I watched it was because there was a raccoon with a machine gun in the trailer. I wanted to go watch Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but my friend convinced me to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and since then, I haven't looked back, and I have absolutely fallen in love with these characters. And the fact that this film exists, especially after all the behind the scenes stuff, is absolutely fantastic. Guardians 1 was a pleasant surprise to everybody. Guardians 2, not everyone loves it, but I personally prefer it over Guardians 1 purely because it starts to delve into the fact that every member of this team have their problems and have their issues, yet they push through it. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, as James Gunn has said, it is going to be definitively the last time we see this team as we know them together in one place, which led me to believe that there would be a bit of death in this one. And without spoiling anything, let's get into this spoiler free review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, to get into the plot very quickly, the Guardians are on basically a fetch quest to save the life of a member of their squad. And across the course of this movie, we learn all about Rocket Raccoon's backstory and his past with the High Evolutionary. So, right off the bat with this one, I will say that Rocket has always been my favorite member of the team. Everyone is great in the team, but Rocket has always had a special place in my heart because you can tell this angry front that he is always pulling up is actually his way of coping with something that's happened. And I will say, with his backstory stuff, it is heartbreaking. And if you are going to this with your kids, be warned, this is a very mature movie. It's very harsh on what it shows, and where Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness pushed the limits on PG-13 in regards to just the brutality of some of the stuff on screen, this one pushes the boundary when it comes to psychological effects. It is a really well done story, and James Gunn shows you what you're going to be in for. Where the first two movies, the first one had like a heavy opening, but it jumped right into a funny little song, and it gave you the tone that the film was going to follow. The second one, again, was a happy dance number that began the movie. This one starts off with a very somber song and gears you up for how different this was going to be from the previous two. There is definitely comedy in this, and the balance of it is really well done from James Gunn. But I will say that the comedy elements, they are more prevalent in the first half. The second half, the comedy is still there, but it's very much to counter some heavy moments. I will tell you right now that I teared up 5 times and broke down at least twice watching this movie. It is honestly one of the most powerful bits I have ever seen, and that basically is because of how raw this was, especially from the performance side of things. I know we've had a lot of great performances in the MCU over the last few years, especially in Wakanda Forever, but a lot of those emotional moments, you kind of had them going in because of real life events influencing what was going off on screen, how they adapted that. This one was very much when you go into it was going to be a swan song, and the emotional moments feel very raw, which gets me straight into some of the performances. Rocket, played by Bradley Cooper, is such a fantastic character, and Bradley Cooper, despite not being a traditional voice actor, he is brilliant as Rocket. He really takes the role and makes it his own. He delivers one of the most powerful moments in terms of just pure pain that I have heard hit my ears in a movie. He deserves his flowers as Rocket Raccoon. He is absolutely fantastic. Another actor in this that I feel like is bloody fantastic. Another actor in this who I think is absolutely fantastic is Plum Clementieff. If I'm mispronouncing that, I do apologize. But her role as Mantis, how she has evolved from the previous film to this one, she is honestly brilliant. She's a meaning well character. Is very kooky, and her dynamic with Dave Batista as their like pseudo sibling, ride or die, best friend banter between the two is really good. But when she's given a moment to do an emotional scene and let go of this happy go lucky, meaning well character and just goes off on another character, one of the best moments ever. Leading me straight into also Karen Gillan, who has literally disappeared into the role of Nebula across all these movies. She is fantastic in this. One of the best moments in this, one of the bits that made me break was Nebula's reaction to hearing a voice and the way Karen Gillan just sells that. Everyone else in the room sells it, but she sells it. The equivalent I could think of is in The Walking Dead, where Beth, spoiler for Walking Dead, by the way, in case you care about that, Beth dies and Daryl walks out of this hospital carrying her just as Beth's sister Maggie shows up. And Maggie, you can tell, is devastated. She is upset and she is saying that really well. But Daryl, played by Norman Reedus, is destroyed. You could tell how devastated he is. That is the sort of comparison I can say with this scene where Karen Gillan's character just looks absolutely destroyed at hearing this voice, and it is really, really well done. Even Chris Pratt, say what you want about him, I've never really got the hate for him. He is really good as starred in this. A lot of people give Peter Quill a lot of flack for what he does in Infinity War, punching Thanos, and they acknowledge that. But Peter in this is very much, he is a goof. He's a goof, he's a bit of a charm, he's a bit of a womanizer, but he has heart. And Chris Pratt plays it really well and delivers another one of the most raw moments in this. There was just a lot of very raw, emotional scenes in this movie, and those are some of the cast members that really blow me away. And special shout out as well to Chukwudi Iwuji. I am again sorry if I've mispronounced this, but he plays the villain, the High Evolutionary. I'm going to say right now, he is hands down one of the best villains we've had in any MCU project. For all these villains, the villains need to fall in two categories of MCU. They're disposable. We know they're going to get killed. It's just part of the ride. And we have those that we like and those that we're like, oh, actually, he's got a point, or we relate to this person. So we know he's going to die eventually, but he, well, they are just needing to be taken out as part of an obstacle. The High Evolutionary, he is a character, I think he is probably the first MCU villain that I have desperately wanted to see put in the ground. This guy is an absolute monster. It is so good to have an antagonist in these MCU movies that is just plain evil. You see where he's coming from, but he's plain evil. He has no redeeming qualities about him. The way this character can't comprehend anything but perfect. He is an absolute monster, and he does a lot of things in this that are absolutely deplorable, like they are bloody nothing. And he just does a fantastic job in this role. Again, the rage I felt for this character, I wanted to see him put 6 feet under and sent to the ninth level of hell, whatever the lowest level of hell is. Honestly, great freaking villain. This film gives me a lot of moments that sit rent free in my head. I saw this last Wednesday. I've just finished like a 5 day back to back work cycle. I finally got a couple of days off, hence the lateness of this review. And there's a lot of the moments in this hit really well. I can't wait to talk about this in my big spoiler talk where I just get to gush a bit more. But some very fantastic sequences, and there's this one, well, seemingly one shot sequence that for me hits right up there with one of my favorite scenes I have seen in media. I have this thing in my head when I see a movie that I really love. There's always one scene that cements it, where everything just feels like comes together and culminates. This whole sequence just feels really earned. And let's just dive a bit more into just the themes of this. The theme of the Guardians of the Galaxy is they're assholes. They're not good people. They are just morally inclined to do the right thing. In this, there is no stopping someone destroying a planet or someone taking over the universe plot. This is very much just their first priority is just saving a friend. This whole thing with the main bad guy is secondary to just saving a friend of theirs. And that I really like. We have seen this ragtag group come together and just become a family. F the Fast and the Furious franchise. The Vin Diesel franchise that has the real family is the Guardians of the Galaxy. The emotions in this ride high. I went into this preparing to feel for some reasons and I ended up feeling for a whole lot of different reasons. There's that scene in the first Guardians where Rocket goes on a bit of a drunken rant, say he didn't ask to get torn apart and put back together over and over again. That is this movie. It will break your heart, make you laugh, and then break your heart in the space of 5 minutes. It is brilliant. I adore this movie. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. Like, for one, the Adam Warlock stuff, I will admit, I wasn't too big on. I understand it from the perspective of the narrative, how he's like a freshly hatched version of Adam Warlock. So he's not the big space god or space Jesus that he is destined to become yet. He's still very much an infant. The soundtrack in this isn't as good as the first two. There's a couple of stingers in this. The first song, a particular Beastie Boys one as well, are the two big highlights for me. But other than that, not a whole lot going on. And I will say as well that you could argue that some parts of it do feel crowded, but quite frankly, I feel like the film did a very good job of splitting up the team and pulling them back together towards the end to really sell certain moments. And I also just like one more big positive before I get into my grade. This is the final chapter of this incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and every single one of these characters gets their hero moment. And it's not like, say, an Endgame where you see like 2 or 3 seconds of someone like kicking ass on a random goon. This is everyone has a moment that fits perfectly with their character and who they are and what they embody. Every single character in this gets their moment. That whole arc of accepting you're damaged and just accepting it and being with the right people, it is something that really hits home with me. I feel like this whole film about someone trying to make the world perfect, which is what a lot of online people seem to want, is that everything needs to be perfect and there can be no flaws in anyone. And they're the antagonist, and the protagonists in this are flawed individuals that are morally inclined to do the right thing. That's a big theme that is really important, especially in this day and age. But before I get into my grade, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, do consider clicking the like button and subscribe to the channel for more video content coming up. Well, I say all the time, I've been very inconsistent with my uploads recently, and I do apologize for that. It's just full-time work is difficult to balance, but I do have a few reviews I'll try and get out this week while I actually have some free time, especially with my spoiler talk coming up either later today or tomorrow. But going into this, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a perfect movie? No. But as someone who got into the MCU because of the first movie, played the video game, which, by the way, if you've not played the video game, play the video game. The story in that is fantastic. The themes of these damaged anti heroes coming together to take on, just do the right thing. Like the arc, the story of this squad has taken a lot of people's hearts, and it is easy to see why. We got some of the best performances seen in any MCU movie in this. The themes are harsh. I will say it is brutal on the mind. Like if you're very big on animal rights, there is an animal rights theme to this, but it is very rough on how it shows certain elements. The Rocket backstory will rip your heart out, and yeah, this is just it's safe out wide in the Guardians movie. I went expecting one thing, I came out getting something else, and I couldn't be any happier for it. This is my favorite movie of the year because of just how it just comfortably bookends the story of this squad of our souls. And if you haven't seen it yet, please go out, Give it a watch. Honestly, I will say this right now. F the MCU. This is a good trilogy. Unfortunately, it can't work as a trilogy because of the Gamora stuff and the certain reveal with Mantis being Quill's sister that's within the holiday special. So you have to sort of like check on those three bits of media before you get into the third one to basically make sure you're caught up because there can be a bit of a jump between two and three, which is a shame because had those three bits of media not existed and like these plot elements were established in some form between movies, it would be a great trilogy. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for me is a perfect cup of tea. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, what did you think of it? Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And let me know, rank your Guardians movies. I'll say include Infinity War, Endgame, and Holiday Special in there as well. Just as a nice little sixfold of the Guardians of the Galaxy arc. And just let me know what you thought of that. There's a lot of stuff that I've not talked about in this review. There's stuff I've just realised now I've not spoke about. But look out for that in my spoiler talk video. But until next time, my name is Josh. I've been the Apprentice. See you all